Hello everyone. Welcome to BYOB, Build Your Own Bridge to Success. I'm Beverly Washington and I am so excited to be with you again today. This is the beginning of our relationship, to talk about how we can do things in a very simple way to getting to the other side of where we need to be. In the introduction, we talked about the four components. The first one being reflection and assessment, the second, commitment, the third, protection, and the fourth is going to be about expansion. And right now we're going to talk about reflection. Reflection, taking a look at ourselves, taking a look in the mirror and saying, who am I? Who am I? Being truly honest. Being honest, however, not brutal, not negative, not critical, but just an opening of ourselves, opening of who we want to be. It's an opportunity to just understand that where we are is not going to ever be perfect, but can we be happy? So I'm going to start at the very, very beginning. When you wake up in the morning, how do you jumpstart your day? How do you jumpstart your day? Do you wake up with excitement and enthusiasm? Do you say, this is my day, seize the moment? Or do you wake up and say, oh my gosh, another day. Oh, woe is me, what's going on? These are the choices that we have. What's preventing you from saying, I'm ready to seize the moment, I'm ready to get out here, I'm ready to make it happen, I don't care where it is that you're going. But jump-starting your day is all about you finding the energy, finding the motivation, finding the reason for being, and giving yourself that extra push every single day. Even if it's not where you want to be, you must start somewhere, and that's in the morning. Waking up and saying, I want to be ready. I want to be there. I want to take the first step. I want to go wherever it is I need to go. If it's work, if it's taking the kids to school, if it's dropping off your husband or your friend, it's waking up and saying, this is where I want to be. Placing your feet on the floor and saying, thank you for an opportunity. Yes, reflection. How do you sound in the morning? What's your spirit like every single day? What's your tone? What is your purpose? So I wake up, yes, I say, thank you. It's another opportunity. I recognize that it's not going to be perfect, but I do recognize I am whole right now. I recognize that I have been given another opportunity to correct those things that perhaps were left undone or not in the right place for another point to be today. Today is the point of being here, to doing things again and much better, because I have the present, to be in the moment, to be in the present, to wake up with a smile on your face as you're preparing for your day. And as you go out and expose yourself to other people, that each day you're delivering the person that you want to be. I'm not talking about faking it when I'm talking about reflection. I'm talking about finding all of those layers to get you to being in that place. And then to assess that where you are today is the starting point to how you're going to build your bridge to get to where you want to be tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. It's about saying to yourself that you love yourself. Oh, okay. Let's start with liking. I like myself where I am right now because this is where I am. If you want to be better, then you do those things to be better. But today, to reflect upon the fact that you are here today and that you've started your day with a positive energy, enthusiasm, and excitement, that it is another day that you have been granted. And to assess that where you want to be tomorrow, the next day, to assess that it has to start somewhere. That reflection. Good morning. How am I? What is it that I want? How can I help others get to where they want to be? That is the reflection. You want to look in that mirror, and then you want to present yourself. When people are looking at you, they want to see that positive energy. They want to reflect what you give them. They want to be in that space and time. It's amazing. Sometimes people will say, well, why are you so happy? Why are you positive? Well, what are my choices, positive or negative? Or yes, there could be indifference, but I choose to be positive. I choose to be positive, regardless of what's going on around me or with me, because it's that energy that gets us to the other side and how we build our own bridge to get to the other side. To be negative, what is the purpose of negativity? Yes, it is a reality, but is it always good or bad or right or wrong? It can just be. And how we judge things is based upon how we see things, which is based upon how we see ourselves each and every day. That we can make the difference in our own lives first before we can make the difference in someone else's. That is the reflection, and that is the beauty of having each day and jump-starting our day. So that's just a start of our conversation with reflection. We're going to go through many other conversations, deeper conversations, conversations that I want you to think about. I want you to put some time as you're sitting down and finding that moment of silence and going through your thoughts and figuring out how you see yourself and being honest, not brutal, not critical, not negative, but just honest. Whether it's your size, whether it's your income, whether it's how you live, you can make the difference when you choose a positive path to take. And that's what we talk about here at BYOB, Build Your Own Bridge to Success. And it's different for everyone. But is it about being whole? It is about being happy. It is about being worthy. Reflection, looking in the mirror and being happy with where you are today. So thank you for this discussion, reflection. I look forward to our next conversation, and it will be about your commitment. This is Beverly, BYOB, Build Your Own Bridge. Build your own bridge to success. Thank you. You're tuning in again. I am so happy to see all of you here. This is Beverly Washington, and we are going to be talking about BYOB, Build Your Own Bridge to Success. We've had some good discussions. Our first one, of course, was the introduction. The second one was a reflection. This one is going to be about commitment. Oh, the word commitment. Ooh, we shudder sometimes when we hear commitment. Why? Because somehow we feel that it is a permanence. But commitment is just owning your word and your actions. Committing to that unconditionally. It's how people will begin to trust you when you commit to whatever it is that you say that you're going to do. To commit with your heart, to commit with your soul, but also understanding that things happen, things change. But at least the initial commitment is something that you're willing to do, because when we commit to something, people will trust our credibility on how we give our word and the actions. Now, sometimes people don't truly believe that that's important, that they can be willy-nilly about what they tell you. But ladies and gentlemen, how are we going to build relationships? We build relationships by being committed to individuals and what needs to be done at any given time, whether it's home or work or our vacations or events. The credibility is in our word. And to focus on our word means that we have to value ourselves in order to give our word, no matter what it is. that we're going to do. So here in this particular discussion, I want you to ask yourself, how many times have you said to yourself that you were going to do something? How many times? Well, that's just the start. But did you write it down? Did you write it down? Because once you say something, we have to create that impression. And the best way to create that impression is to write it down, because now we can actually see it. We can be reinforcing that commitment each time we look at that written document. Because now you own it. You own it from that moment forward. You can look at it and say, I have committed to this. I've written it down. I'm going to follow through on it, and it's going to be done. Now, reality. Things happen. Yes, things happen. That's why we have what we call communication. We must be committed that when things happen that we communicate to whomever it is, so they will definitely understand that we have looked for every alternative, every option to follow through, to be true to our word, because technically that's what you have, is your word. I say to people in discussions, the three things that we must value is our reputation, our credibility, and our legacy. When we commit to building a reputation of following up and following through and being honest, that reputation is our image, it's our brand, it's who we are, and people will rely on that. That will lead us to our credibility. It's how we communicate, giving our word, following through on our word, so that we are reinforcing our image, our brand, no different than products or services. And that will lead us to our legacy. The legacy is what people say when they're no longer in your presence. People will talk about you anyway, but it's what they're willing to say. What can they say? They can say, oh, you're tough, but I trust that. You're fair, you're equitable. That's what the legacy is. When you're no longer in the picture, when your name surfaces, how do people listen to your name? What supports that name? What is your foundation? What is your base? Now, sometimes people say, well, it's not a big deal. Everything is a big deal at some point in time. Are you committed to making it the positive big deal each and every time? The commitment is one step toward building a relationship with whomever. Building a relationship, we cannot do things alone by ourselves. It is with a group of people, starting with yourself. The relationship at home, the relationship at work, the relationship with friends, the relationship of that commitment. Now, will things run its course? Absolutely. And sometimes things get in the way. Timing gets in the way, health gets in the way, age gets in the way, relocation. But it doesn't have to change how you're committed to being the best person each and every day. In the reflection, we talked about jump-starting your day. In commitment is how are you reinforcing that with what you do during the course of your day. Completing projects, it's a commitment. It has always been a commitment. Looking at things and understanding where it's going to lead you is the commitment to follow things through. And being positive as we go through that. Now, our commitment is ever changing as we evolve, absolutely, but not changing for the worse. It's always going to be changing for the better, because you know that every commitment that you give is going to support your image, your brand, and who you are. I enjoy working with people in helping to have them expose themselves to a better place to be. And that's one of the reasons why BYOB, Build Your Own Bridge, is the next step to doing that. Because each time I have a conversation, each time I put together a video, each time I create the script, I'm creating it from a place where I too am working. And that's the most glorious thing about this. We are in this together. The commitment each and every day. So this day, this evening, at the close of your day, I want you to write down what you're committed to. I want you to come up with the 5 things that you have committed to and that you're going to see through. Now, how is this going to look? The 5 things will be: 1, to yourself. And when I say yourself, we're going to look at yourself in terms of your image, yourself in terms of your health and well-being, yourself in terms of your psychological well-being, in terms of your friendships, because that's very, very important, and in terms of your family. Those 5 things. Write down and say to yourself, am I committed? And with each of those 5 things, whether it's to yourself, your psychological self, your physical self, your family, your friends, your work, one thing that you can do to make that commitment a reality, one thing each day. Write it down. Write it down. Be committed to writing it down so that you can review it later on, so that you can see it, so that you can make it real, so that you can be very much certain that you will be on the other side. On the other side. BYOB, Build Your Own Bridge. Thank you. I'm Beverly Washington. Till the next time. BYOB, Build Your Own Bridge. Welcome, I'm Beverly Washington, and we're going to have another discussion. Build your own bridge, where you are today, where you want to be tomorrow, or next year, or 2 years from now. We're having our conversation on this week's video. We're going to talk about protecting ourselves, protection. So we had an introduction, we had the reflection, we had the commitment, we have protection, protecting ourselves. Now, what does that entail? We have to take a look around at the people that we invite into our space. We must take the time to examine that anyone coming into us, getting close to us, getting close to our minds, getting close to our hearts, getting close to us intimately, that they are worthy of being there, protecting ourselves, valuing ourselves every single day. And I know sometimes that's hard because sometimes we are too in the moment. The superficial can sometimes seduce us, and it might not be the place where we need to be. So we have to discern and be very selective on who we're bringing inside. Now, it is never too late to start that ritual, to examine, is that person going to add value? We hear value added when we're talking about products and services, but again, ladies and gentlemen, this can work in your personal life and your professional life too. Who is there to add value? Now, we're not talking about giving you something. We're actually talking about just adding value, enhancing your life, being able to have a conversation, getting along, going out. That's adding value, enjoying the individual or the group with whom you're with at that given time, adding value. And that's what we should think about each and every time that we go out. When we're dining, when we dine out, is what we're consuming adding value to us physically? When we're working out, are we doing those things to add value? Because when we add value, we're protecting our core. And that's why we do those things and enlist other people and look at our services and look at our products. Adding value is how we create our brand. Now, sometimes people might say, well, do I have to really think about adding value? Well, what else are you going to think about? We're bringing people into our lives. we're having conversations with them, we're going out with them, we're experimenting with them. So what is it that they are doing if they're not adding some kind of value? Because if they're not adding value, they are removing that. They are extracting. And that's not what you want. You shouldn't feel less than when you're around people. You should feel whole and better and happy. That's how we protect ourselves, adding value. Just think about it. Each and every day, we add value by what we do, by how we dress, the places that we go, adding value, protecting ourselves so that when we are adding value, that layer of protection is growing, whether it's people, places, or things, each and every day. Each and every day. So just for this moment, just throw away the negative thoughts or the judgments in terms of protecting. Now, we're not talking about walking around with armor on us or not feeling or being suspect of everyone, but just be a little bit more sensitive to how this person or individuals are going to behave in your life, be part of your life. If you're the only one giving, and they're just receiving, that lessens your value. We have to be whole. Another reason that I like to talk about protection is that we have to sleep, and in order to sleep, we have to have peace of mind. In order to have the peace of mind, we have to look at the course of our day that allows us to be in that place when it's time to go to bed. When you have been taken advantage of, violated, exposed to negativity because you were unable or unaware that you needed to protect yourself, it will make it very difficult for you to sleep at night, to be at peace psychologically, physiologically, biologically, emotionally, intellectually. It'll be very, very hard. You'll toss and turn and toss and turn. And that right there is telling you something, that there happens to be a crack in the foundation. That perhaps you haven't thought about that individual, that conversation that you've had, and how it drained you at the end of your day. We can be drained by all the positive things, or we can be drained by negativity. Protecting ourselves and looking at people for how they have exposed themselves to you. Now, you might say, oh, my gosh, that's a lot of work. Absolutely. Each day is a day to work at becoming. And that's why I call this Build Your Own Bridge. It's going to be a different route for everyone. But taking a look, let's go back to reflecting back to that moment in time when you knew that person wasn't right for you, or when you knew that something that you did wasn't right for you. It wasn't you, and you did it anyway. And then later on in that day or that week, you sat down in your moment of silence. You said, you know what? I didn't make the right choice. But guess what? You get another day. We just want you to get to that place so that when you decide, you make the better decisions, and those decisions will put you in the right path of building your own bridge. And that's why we call it protecting ourselves. We are the best guardians for ourselves each and every day. It's not about being perfect. It's not about criticizing. It's just saying that each day I want to make sure that when I lay my head down on my pillow, that I am comfortable, I am confident that I did the right thing at the right time to protect who I am each and every day. So at this point, I want you to just take a moment in time and write down how you're going to start to protect yourself in a much better way, to being in the moment, to being deliberate, to being intentional, to the protecting and valuing and honoring and owning who you are. Protection. This is Beverly Washington, BYOB, Build Your Own Bridge to Success. Till the next time. Welcome to BYOB, Build Your Own Bridge. I'm Beverly Washington. And again, as I have always said, I am excited to be having this conversation with you. We're going to talk about the conversation of expansion, expanding your horizons, taking the risk. Sometimes can be a daunting endeavor. However, when we do set out to take the risk, guess how much we receive when we are experiencing the unexpected, when we take the risk, when we get out of our comfort zones. And it can be wonderful. Scary? Absolutely, but wonderful. Think back for the moment when the first time you took a risk. It could be going to a different city or even eating a different food, taking the risk, and you kind of squirmed in your seat a little bit and you said, this is kind of okay. This is kind of good. Perhaps I like this. Yeah, that's what taking the risk is. That's what expansion is. Going through the unfamiliar, believing that it would be okay when you get to the other side, BYOB, Build Your Own Bridge. And the exciting part that you learn something else about yourself, and that's the key right now. Learning about yourself, expanding our horizons, creating believability that it will be okay, taking the risk, getting out of our comfort zone. So how do we do that? First, we have to really state that everything will be okay. What's the worst that can happen? You can go back to where you were before. Whether it's being in the same city, eating the same food, doing the same things, you can always go back. But what fun is it that the routine needs to be shaken up a bit? That's what expansion is. Going beyond our comfort zones, our comfort levels. That's how we learn who we really are. Understanding that the spectator is sitting on the bench, the player is in the field, taking the risk. And having that euphoria, that excitement when they achieve whatever it is that they're out there to achieve. In the workplace, taking on a new project that you may not know about, but once you go through your due diligence and do your research, you find out that you know more about something than you gave yourself credit for. That's expansion. That's how we learn. Anyone can do easy. Anyone can do easy. Anyone can be a spectator. It's the players out there. Now, you might not see it in that light when we talk about expansion, but it is in that light that we are setting a course in an endeavor that we may not be familiar with. So we take the first step. We are going to go through our fears. The fear is the unknown, absolutely unknown. We don't know what it will be. That's why it is called the unknown. But taking that step makes us more available to being of what I would call more engaged, more enlightened, more known to what's next. And then you take the next step. Yes, a little bit more discomfort, unfamiliarity, but then again, step two, you're more accustomed, you're creating more comfort. And then the next step, and then the next step, and the next step. Doing easy does not challenge you, and that's why we call it expansion. Expanding to challenge us is how we grow. And when we grow, we feel more self-confident and we feel better about ourselves, and we take the next step and the next step. And we can share that with our families. Think about it. So when I asked you to sit back and try to reflect back to the first time you expanded or took that risk, you were afraid. And that is a normal emotion. It's a normal emotion, but that emotion doesn't have to stay with you. As we grow through our comfort level of the unknown, we create the believability. And that's where we want to be on the other side, believing that we can get through this. Regardless of the challenges, the circumstances, I would probably say the unthought of, that can also be kind of crazy too. I never thought about this. Well, you know what? When we go through the expansion, no, we haven't thought about it, but through the expansion, we now can think about it, and we can think about our next step and prepare and protect ourselves and commit to it and reflect back. That's the circle of things. Expanding, taking the risk. Expanding our boundaries. Being greater tomorrow than we are today via the expansion. Now, to think about it. Must you always go through the fear? Not necessarily. Sometimes people say, you know what? The fear. I accept it, I'll acknowledge it, but I'm not going to let it hold me back. Expansion. Or some people say, I'm too afraid to do this. Okay, so what are you willing to do then? That's the question. What are you willing to do then if you're not afraid to go forward, to expand your boundaries? Something to think about. Something to ponder each and every day. Taking a promotion, the unknown, but someone saw the potential in you. Relocating for a job or a spouse. Someone paving the way. Expanding, taking the risk. And finding out once you get there, it was okay. You survived. So we're going to be talking about these kinds of things throughout our discussion through other videos. And I want you to, on each video, think about how you are growing and expanding and developing and securing yourself each and every opportunity. Because if you continue to play it easy, take the simple route, how much growth is really there? Go on out there. Get to the ledge. Look over. I'm not saying jump, but get to the ledge. Know that you can pull yourself back at any time. Take on that difficult task. Go out of the country. See how other people are living and growing. And you know what? You're not that much different than they are. They may speak another language, eat different foods, but you're going to be excited about that because you're expanding your horizons. And then when you come back, we're going to have a conversation. And you're going to say, this was exciting and that was exciting. I never thought, I never knew. I never thought and I never knew until you took the opportunity to go forward. To go forward. This is Beverly, BYO, Build Your Own Bridge to Success. Look forward to talking with you next time. Bye now.